How does being told that we are too much influence our willingness to try new things? I think that, a lot of us have received messages like this one. This is this first person who commented about voice acting, and she's saying, at some point, despite having done all of these things as a kid, she was told to be less. A lot of women have been told to be less. A lot of men have too, but it tends to happen more to women. And I think, it's worth acknowledging that fact. And it's also worth looking at whether or not what we were told has any actual basis in reality. For a lot of us, it doesn't. I suspect that a lot of children get the message that they should be or do less, or as in the other example, that they are loud and excitable because mom and dad are just too tired to handle the level of excitement and enthusiasm that their kids are expressing. I know I have seen that happen with my nephews. And it's really a shame because mom and dad don't necessarily mean it badly. They're just tired. But as a kid, we hear something very different and it gets internalized, or as Sven Erlandsen would say, pressed into the wet cement of your soul. And then it becomes lodged in there and it's tough to dislodge it. So I think, as the saying goes, find less. If I'm too much, find less. And I think if you have always done voices and acting and performing and you still want to, you should give it another try. Obviously, I'm not you, I'm not in your situation, but in my experience, trying beats regretting not trying later. And I have learned over the years that asking will get me farther than not asking, which sounds obvious, but to a lot of us, it really, really isn't. It is always worth trying. The worst that happens is that you hear a no or something doesn't work out, and then you have more information. You may also get positive feedback about why the answer was no or why it didn't work out, and it may not actually be you. So it's worth giving it a try. And for voice actors, Project Gutenberg has an audiobook section where you can go in and you can do readings in your closet with a microphone, whatever you happen to have, to give it a whirl and get established in some way. You'll have a voice reel, you'll have some experience under your belt, and it doesn't have to cost you anything. So I encourage you to check that out. I'm Nancy. I help women reconnect with their lost creative spark so they can get unstuck and gain more energy. And if you like all of this, I hope that you'll follow, and come along for the ride.